The stars looked cold and empty around the broken ships. Commander Vexthel pressed his thin blue fingers against the control panel and watched the lights flicker. His ship, the Crystal Dawn, had been flying through space for 3 months. Now, it sat still and quiet like a dead thing. "Commander, the engines are completely dead," said his second officer, Yeltar. Her voice shook a little. "All 5 ships in our fleet have the same problem. The jump drives just stopped working." Vexthel looked out the big window at the front of his ship. The other 4 Zephyrian vessels floated nearby. They were beautiful ships made of a special crystal that glowed soft blue in the darkness of space. Each ship was long and smooth like a pointed teardrop, but now they looked more like floating tombstones. "How did this happen?" Vexthel asked. He had been a commander for 40 years. He had never seen anything like this before. "We think it was the solar storm we passed through yesterday," Yeltar said. She touched her control screen with her long fingers. "The energy from the storm may have damaged our jump cores." "All of them at the same time?" Vexthel closed his large black eyes for a moment. The Zephyrians were far from home. Their homeworld, Zephyr Prime, was over 200 light-years away. Without their jump drives, it would take them thousands of years to get back home using normal engines. "Sir, we need to send out a distress signal," said the communications officer. His name was Morden, and he was young for a Zephyrian. "Only 60 years old. Yes, you are right," Vexthel said. He stood up from his command chair. "Send out the standard distress call on all frequencies. Tell any ship that can hear us that we need help." Morden worked at his station for several minutes. Then he looked up. "Distress signal is broadcasting, Commander. I'm sending it in over 50 different languages and code systems. Emmy space traveling. Species should be able to understand it." Vexthel nodded. The Zephyrians had always been helpful to other species. They had been flying through space for over 1,000 years. In all that time, they had helped many different kinds of aliens. They had given food to hungry species. They had shared their technology with primitive worlds. They had even fought wars to protect weaker races from aggressive enemies. "Someone will come to help us," Vexthel said to his crew. "The galaxy is full of good people. When they hear our call for help, they will come." The other officers on the bridge looked more relaxed after hearing their commander speak. Vexthel was known for being calm and wise. If he said help would come, then it would come. "While we wait, let us prepare for visitors," Vexthel said. "Clean the guest quarters. Prepare our best food. Get the welcome gifts ready. When our rescuers arrive, we will show them proper Zephyrian hospitality." The crew began working to prepare for their guests. The Zephyrians were proud of their culture. They believed in treating visitors with great respect and kindness. Even if the visitors were from a species they had never met before, hours passed slowly. The 5 crystal ships continued to drift in the empty space between stars. The nearest star system was 4 light-years away. It was a long distance, but not impossible for most space-traveling species to cross. "Commander," Morden said suddenly, "I am getting a response to our distress call." Vexthel sat up straight in his chair. "Already? That was fast. What kind of ship is it?" "The signal is coming from a species called humans," Morden said. He looked at his screens with interest. "I have never heard of them before. They must be a new space-traveling race." "Humans," Vexthel repeated the word slowly. "What does their message say?" "They say they received our distress call and they are coming to help us. They will be here in about 6 hours." Vexthel smiled. His smile showed his sharp white teeth. "Excellent. 6 hours gives us plenty of time to prepare a proper welcome." He stood up and walked around the bridge. "Listen, everyone. These humans are probably a young species. They may have just learned how to travel between stars. This could be their first time meeting aliens from another world. We must make a good impression." "Should we prepare the friendship ceremony?" asked Yeltar. "Yes, prepare everything," Vexthel said. "The crystal gifts, the memory stones, the sacred water from our homeworld. Show these humans what real civilization looks like." The crew began working with new energy. They cleaned every part of the ship until it sparkled. They prepared the most beautiful guest rooms. They cooked their finest foods and arranged them on golden plates. They even practiced their welcome songs. "Sir," said the tactical officer, "a serious Zephyrian named Dexver. Should we scan the human ship when it arrives? We know nothing about their weapons or technology." Vexthel waved his hand dismissively. "That would be rude, Dexver. They are coming to help us. We should trust them. Besides, what could a young species possibly have that would threaten us? We have been flying through space since before their son was born." "Yes, Commander," Dexver said, but he still looked worried. As the hours passed, the excitement on the ship grew. Many of the crew members had never met a completely new alien species before. They wondered what humans looked like. Were they tall or short? Did they have fur or scales? How many arms did they have? "I heard from the communications that they speak in sound waves like us," said one officer. "But do they breathe oxygen?" asked another. "We will find out soon enough." Vexthel said, "Whatever they need, we will provide. It is the least we can do for someone who comes to help strangers in space." The time passed slowly. The crew checked and double-checked everything. The guest rooms were perfect. The gifts were arranged beautifully. The food was still warm and smelled wonderful. Finally, Morden spoke up again. "Commander, I am detecting a ship dropping out of faster-than-light travel. It should be visible soon." Everyone on the bridge looked out the windows. In the distance, they could see a small point of light getting bigger. "There it is," whispered Yeltar Da as the human ship got closer. The Zephyrians could see it more clearly. It was not like their crystal ships at all. The ship was dark and angular. It looked like it was made of metal and hard materials. It was also much larger than they had expected. "It is quite big for a rescue ship," Dexver said quietly. "Maybe. Humans just build things differently," Vexthel replied. "Every species has their own style." The human ship moved closer to the Zephyrian fleet. It was now close enough that they could see details on its hull. The ship was covered with what looked like sensor equipment and communication arrays. "They certainly have a lot of technology for a young species," Yeltar observed. "Good," Vexthel sighed. "That means they will be able to help us repair our ships." "Send them a welcome message, Morden. Tell them how grateful we are that they came to help us." "Yes, Commander," Morden said. He began typing the message. Outside, the human ship continued to approach. It moved with purpose and confidence. Soon the Zephyrians would make contact with this new species. They would share their culture and make new friends among the stars. Vexthel straightened his blue uniform and prepared to meet the humans. He had no idea that in just a few hours everything would change forever. Captain Sarah Chun stood on the bridge of the human warship Defiant. The ship was huge, almost 2 kilometers long. Its dark metal hull was covered with weapons and armor. This was not a rescue ship. This was a ship built for war. "Captain, we are approaching the source of the distress signal," said Lieutenant Commander Torres, the navigation officer. 5 alien vessels, unknown design. They appear to be stranded. Sarah looked at the main screen. The alien ships were beautiful in a strange way. They were made of some kind of crystal that glowed blue. They looked nothing like human ships, which were built from steel and titanium. "Any signs of weapon systems?" Sarah asked. "Negative, Captain," said Commander Park, the tactical officer. "The ships appear to be unarmed. No energy signatures from weapons or shields." Sarah nodded. "Good. Continue approach. Send them a standard first contact message. Tell them we received their distress call and we are here to help." "Yes, Captain," said the communications officer. Ensign Williams. Sarah had been commanding the Defiant for 3 years. She was 42 years old, with short brown hair and sharp green eyes. She had fought in 2 wars against alien species that tried to invade human space. She was not easily fooled. "Commander Park, I want you to run those ship designs through our database," Sarah said. "Check them against all known hostile alien configurations." "Already on it, Captain," Park said. His fingers moved quickly over his control panel. "This will take a few minutes." The Defiant continued moving toward the alien ships. Sarah could see more details now. The crystal ships were elegant and smooth. They looked like they were grown rather than built. Very different from human engineering. "Captain, I am receiving a response from the aliens," Ensign Williams said. "They call themselves Zephyrians. They say they are grateful for our help and they want to welcome us aboard their ship." "Welcoming committee already," Sarah said. That is either very trusting or very confident. "The message is very polite, Captain," Williams continued. "They say they have prepared gifts for us and they want to show us their hospitality." Sarah frowned. In her experience, aliens who were truly stranded usually asked for specific help first. Engine parts, fuel, technical assistance. They did not immediately start talking about gifts and hospitality. "Captain," Commander Park said suddenly. His voice was tight. "I have a match in the database." Sarah turned to look at him. Park's face was pale. "What kind of match?" "These ship configurations," Park said slowly. "They match the alien vessels that attacked New Geneva 3 months ago." The bridge went very quiet. Everyone knew about New Geneva. It had been a small human colony with 800,000 people. One day, alien ships had appeared in orbit. Without any warning or communication, they had started firing energy beams at the planet. In 6 hours, every city was destroyed. Every human on the planet was dead. "Are you sure?" Sarah asked. "Checking again," Park said. He worked at his station for another minute. "Yes, Captain. Same crystal hull construction. Same energy signatures, same ship proportions. These are definitely the same type of ships." Sarah felt something cold settle in her stomach. "What about Kepler Station?" Park checked his records. "Yes, Captain. The ships that destroyed Kepler Station had the same design. And the mining colonies at Proxima Centauri, too." Sarah closed her eyes for a moment. Kepler Station had been home to 1.2 million people. The Proxima colonies had another 300,000, all dead. All killed by aliens flying ships exactly like the ones in front of them now. "Captain," Ensign Williams said, "the Zephyrians are asking if we need anything. They say they have excellent medical facilities and fine food." Sarah opened her eyes. Her voice was very calm when she spoke. "Continue the conversation, Williams. Tell them we are pleased to meet them. Ask them about their mission in this sector." "Yes, Captain." Sarah walked over to Commander Park's station. She spoke very quietly, so the aliens could not hear through the communications system. "How many people did they kill?" Park checked his records. "Total casualties from all 3 attacks, 2.3 million humans, Captain." Sarah nodded. "And now they are asking for help." "It could be a coincidence," Park said, but he did not sound like he believed it. "No," Sarah said. "There are no coincidences. In space, these are the same aliens who murdered our people." She walked back to her command chair. "Williams, are they still talking?" "Yes, Captain. They seem very eager to establish friendly relations. They keep mentioning their cultural traditions and their desire for peace." "Peace," Sarah repeated. "Ask them about their recent activities. Ask them if they have visited any human colonies." Williams sent the question. A few minutes later, he had an answer. "Captain, they say they have been on an exploration mission for several months. They mention that they have visited several star systems and made contact with primitive species." "Primitive species," Sarah said. The words tasted bitter. "What else do they say?" "They say their mission is to bring civilization to underdeveloped worlds." "They seem very proud of their work." Sarah felt her hands tighten into fists. "Bring civilization. Is that what they call it?" "Captain," Commander Park said quietly, "what are your orders?" Sarah looked at the alien ships on the screen. They looked so peaceful floating there in the darkness, beautiful and innocent. But she knew what they had done. She knew about the children who had died on New Geneva. She knew about the families who had been vaporized on Kepler Station. "Battle stations," Sarah said quietly. "Captain," Park looked surprised. "You heard me. Battle stations, but do it quietly. I do not want them to know yet." Park began sending signals to the crew. "All over. The ship, humans began preparing for combat. Weapon systems came online. Shields were raised. The Defiant prepared for war. Williams, keep talking to them, Sarah said. Act friendly. Do not let them know anything has changed. Yes, Captain, Williams said. He was sweating now. Sarah walked to the front of the bridge and looked at the alien ships. How long would it take to charge our main guns? 3 minutes, Captain, Park said. And our kinetic weapons? Those are already loaded and ready, Captain, Sarah nodded. The Defiant carried weapons that could destroy planets. Railguns that fired metal slugs at incredible speed. Plasma cannons that burned hotter than the center of a star. Nuclear missiles that could crack moons in half. Captain, Williams said, the aliens are asking if we would like to come aboard their ship for a feast. They say they want to celebrate our meeting. A feast, Sarah said. How thoughtful of them. She turned to face her crew. Every person on the bridge was looking at her. They all knew what those alien ships had done. They all had friends or family who had died in the attacks. Listen carefully, Sarah said. These aliens killed 2.3 million human beings. Men, women, and children. They destroyed our colonies without warning. They murdered our people and called it bringing civilization. The crew listened in silence. Now they want us to help them. Sarah continued. They want to be friends. They want to share a meal and exchange gifts. Sarah looked back at the alien ships. But we are not here to make friends. We are here to deliver justice. Captain, Park said, our weapons are ready. Sarah sat down in her command chair. Good, Williams. Tell the aliens that we would be honored to help them. Tell them we are grateful for their friendship. Yes, Captain. Sarah smiled, but it was not a kind smile. Let them think we are just another primitive species. Let them think we are grateful and innocent. She looked at the countdown timer on her screen, 2 minutes until the weapons were fully charged. Soon, she said quietly, very soon they will learn what humans do to child killers. Captain Sarah Chun looked at the timer on her screen. 1 minute and 30 seconds until all weapons were ready. She pressed a button on her chair and opened a direct communication channel to the Zephyrian ships. This is Captain Sarah Chun of the Earth Defense Force ship Defiant, she said. Her voice was calm and friendly. We have received your distress signal and we are here to help you. On the alien ship, Commander Vextel smiled when he heard the human voice. Greetings, Captain Chun, he said. I am Commander Vextel of the Zephyrian Exploration Fleet. We are so grateful that you have come to our aid. The galaxy is truly blessed with compassionate species like yours. Sarah kept her face neutral, but inside she felt sick. This alien was talking about compassion while his ships had weapons that could burn entire planets. We are happy to help, Commander. What exactly do you need? Our jump drives have failed, Vextel explained. We believe a solar storm damaged our engines. We are stranded far from home and cannot repair the damage ourselves. If you could spare some quantum resonators or jump core stabilizers, we would be forever in your debt. I see, Sarah said. She looked at Commander Park, who was working quietly. At his weapons station, we will check our supply stores. But first, tell me about your mission here. What brings Zephyrian ships so far from your home? Vextel's eyes lit up with pride. We are explorers, Captain Chun. We travel the galaxy searching for new worlds and new forms of life. It is our sacred duty to bring the light of civilization to primitive species. Primitive species, Sarah repeated. How interesting. Have you encountered many primitive species recently? Oh yes, Vextel said happily. Just in the past few months, we have visited several systems inhabited by underdeveloped races. It is always such a joy to help them. Sarah felt her jaw clench. She forced herself to keep smiling. Help them how, exactly? We bring them peace, Captain, Vextel said. We show them the proper way to live. Some species are so primitive that they resist our guidance. They fight against progress. But we are patient teachers. Behind Sarah, Ensign Williams was recording everything. Every word the alien said would be evidence of their crimes. What happens when they resist? Sarah asked. Oh, we are very gentle, Vextel said. We try to educate them first. We show them our superior technology and culture. Most species understand quickly that we are here to help them become better. And if they do not understand? Vextel made a sound that might have been a sigh. Then we must be firm. Sometimes a parent must discipline a child for the child's own good. We remove the resistance so that progress can continue. Sarah closed her eyes for a moment, remove the resistance. That was how this alien described genocide. I see. And you have had to be firm recently? Yes, sadly, Vextel said. We visited 3 systems inhabited by a species called humans, such a violent and primitive race. They built weapons instead of art. They fought wars instead of seeking peace. We tried to guide them, but they would not listen. Sarah opened her eyes. Her voice was still calm. What did you do? We had no choice, Vextel said. We had to cleanse those worlds of their violent influence. It was for the greater good. Now those planets can be used by more peaceful species. On the bridge of the Defiant, every human crew member was listening. Sarah could see the anger in their faces. Commander Park's hands were shaking as he worked. At his station, cleanse, Sarah said. That is an interesting word choice. It is what we do, Vextel explained proudly. When a species cannot be educated, we cleanse their worlds. We use our purification beams to remove all traces of their violent culture. It is quick and merciful. Quick and merciful, Sarah repeated. How many humans did you kill? Kill? Vextel sounded surprised. We did not kill them, Captain. We freed them from their primitive existence. Death is just a transition to a better state of being. We helped over 2 million humans make that transition. Sarah looked at the timer. 30 seconds until all weapons were charged. Tell me about these 3 human worlds, Commander. The first was called New Geneva, Vextel said. A world covered in ugly metal cities. The humans there were building weapons and fighting each other. We spent 6 hours cleansing the planet. Very thorough work. Sarah remembered the reports. From New Geneva, the planet had been turned into glass. Every city melted, every person vaporized. The second world was called Kepler Station, Vextel continued. It was a space habitat, not a planet. The humans there were mining asteroids and building more weapons. We cleansed the entire station in 4 hours. Kepler Station had been home to families. Children had lived there. They had schools and parks and playgrounds. Now it was just debris floating in space. The third was a collection of mining colonies around Proxima Centauri, Vextel said. Small settlements, but very warlike. The humans there actually tried to fight back when we arrived. Can you imagine such primitive thinking? We cleansed all 5 colonies in 2 hours. The timer on Sarah's screen reached 0. All weapons were now fully charged and ready to fire. The Defiant carried enough firepower to destroy small moons. Commander. Vextel, Sarah said. Her voice was still calm and friendly. Thank you for explaining your mission to me. Of course, Captain Chun, Vextel said. I hope this helps you understand what kind of species we are. We are peacemakers and teachers. We bring order to chaos. Yes, Sarah said. I understand exactly what kind of species you are. She looked around her bridge. Her crew was ready. They had heard everything. They knew what had to be done. Commander, Sarah continued, I have good news. We have found the parts you need to repair your ships. Wonderful. Vextel said, you humans are so generous. Just like I told my crew, the galaxy is full of compassionate species. Actually, Sarah said, I have a confession to make. Oh, Vextel sounded curious. We are not just any humans, Commander. We are humans from the Earth Defense Force. We are the humans whose colonies you cleansed. There was silence on the communication channel. Sarah could imagine the confusion on the alien's face. I do not understand, Vextel said slowly. Let me explain, Sarah said. Those primitive humans you killed. They were our people, our families, our children. The violent weapons they were building. They were trying to defend themselves from aliens like you. But that is impossible. Vexthel stammered. The humans we cleansed were primitive. They had no space travel, no advanced technology. Those were our colonies, Commander. Our people trying to build new lives on distant worlds, and you murdered them all. Sarah stood up from her command chair. You called it cleansing. You called it mercy. You called it bringing civilization. To primitive species, Captain Chun, Vexthel said. His voice was shaking now. There must be some mistake. We are peaceful explorers. We follow the highest moral principles. No mistake, Sarah said. You killed 2.3 million innocent people. Men, women, and children who never did anything to hurt you. You destroyed their homes and called it education. Please, Vexthel said. Let us discuss this. We can find a peaceful solution. We are reasonable beings. Sarah smiled. It was not a nice smile. You are right, Commander. We can find a solution, a very quick and merciful solution. She looked at Commander Park. Target all 5 alien ships. Targets. Locked, Captain, Park said. But Captain, Vexthel said desperately, we are stranded. We are helpless. Surely you would not attack defenseless ships. Defenseless? Sarah said, your ships destroyed 3 of our colonies. Your purification beams can melt planets. You are only helpless because your engines broke down. We can make peace, Vexthel pleaded. We can negotiate. We can pay compensation. Compensation? Sarah's voice became very cold. What compensation can you give for murdered children? What payment can bring back the dead? She looked at her crew. They were all watching her, waiting for orders. You taught us something important today, Commander, Sarah said. You taught us that some species cannot be educated. Some cannot be reasoned with. Sometimes the only solution is to cleanse the galaxy of their violent influence. No, please, Vexthel begged. We were wrong. We made mistakes. We can change. Yes, Sarah said. You were wrong. And now you will pay the price for your mistakes. She looked at the beautiful crystal ships floating helplessly in space. Ships that had committed genocide. Ships that had destroyed human worlds. Think. You for the confession, Commander, Sarah said. It will look good in our report. She turned to her tactical officer. Commander Park, you may fire when ready. Commander Park's finger hovered over the firing control. All weapons ready, Captain, targeting the 5 alien ships. Captain Sarah Chun looked at the main screen. The beautiful crystal ships floated peacefully in space, unaware that death was about to come for them. Wait, she said. Park looked surprised. Captain? I want to hear him try to explain himself first, Sarah said. She activated the communication channel again. Commander Vexthel, are you still there? Yes, Captain Chun, came the shaky reply. Please, we must talk about this. There has been a terrible misunderstanding. Misunderstanding? Sarah said. You just told me you killed over 2 million of my people. You described exactly how you did it. What part of that did I misunderstand? We did not know they were your people, Vexthel said desperately. The humans we encountered had no connection to advanced species like yourselves. They were isolated and primitive. Sarah felt her anger growing hotter. Primitive? They were farmers and miners and scientists. They were families trying to build new homes on distant worlds. They had children playing in parks and students learning in schools. But they had weapons, Vexthel protested. Crude missiles and energy guns. They tried to fight us when we offered to help them. Of course they fought you, Sarah said. You showed up in their skies with ships full of weapons. What did you expect them to do? Send you flowers? On his ship, Vexthel was starting to understand how badly he had miscalculated. Captain, please try to see this from our perspective. We have been bringing peace to the galaxy for 1,000 years. We have helped countless species advance beyond their primitive ways. By killing them? By freeing them from the burden of violent existence, Vexthel said, but his voice lacked conviction now. We thought we were being merciful. Sarah looked around her bridge. Her crew was listening to every word. She could see the pain and anger in their faces. Lieutenant Torres had lost her brother on Kepler Station. Ensign Williams had friends on New Geneva. Commander Park's cousin had been on one of the Proxima mining colonies. "Tell me about New Geneva," Sarah said coldly. "Tell me exactly what you did to those people." "Captain, I do not think this is helpful." "Tell me," Sarah commanded. "I want to hear every detail." Vexthel was quiet for a long moment. Then he began to speak, his voice barely a whisper. "We arrived in orbit around the planet. We tried to make contact with the humans. We offered to share our knowledge and technology. And they responded with hostility. They launched missiles at our ships. Primitive weapons that could not harm us, but it showed their violent nature." Sarah remembered the reports. The humans on New Geneva had detected the alien ships and tried to defend themselves. They had fired everything they had, knowing it probably would not work. "What did you do then?" Sarah asked. "We tried to communicate again. We sent messages explaining that we were peaceful, but they continued to attack. They evacuated their cities and prepared for war, so you decided to kill them all." "We decided to cleanse the planet," Vexthel said. "We used our purification beams to remove all traces of their violent civilization. It took 6 hours to complete the process." Sarah closed her eyes and tried not to imagine what those 6 hours had been like. The terror of the people as the beams burned their cities. The last messages sent by families who knew they were going to die. "How many children were on that planet?" Sarah asked. I do not know," Vexthel admitted. 200,000, Sarah said. 200,000 human children. The youngest was only 3 months old. The communication channel was silent. "What about Kepler Station?" Sarah continued. "Tell me about that one." "It was a space habitat," Vexthel said reluctantly. "The humans there were mining asteroids and building more weapons. When we offered to help them, they tried to ram our ships with their cargo vessels. They were trying to protect their families," Sarah said. "There were schools on that station, hospitals, playgrounds where children played games." "We could not have known." "You could have asked," Sarah interrupted. "You could have tried to understand before you started killing." "We tried to communicate." "No, you tried to give orders." "There is a difference." Sarah looked at the timer. They had been talking for 3 minutes. In 2 more minutes, she would give the order to fire. "Captain," Vexthel said desperately, "we are not monsters. We truly believed we were helping. Our culture has always taught us that we are the most advanced species in the galaxy. We thought it was our duty to guide lesser races." "Your duty," Sarah repeated. "To commit genocide. We call it cleansing because we believe death is not the end. We believe we were freeing those souls to find better existences." "That is convenient," Sarah said. "It lets you sleep at night after murdering children." "Please," Vexthel begged. "We can make amends. We can change our ways. We can help you rebuild what we destroyed." Sarah laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Rebuild? You turned our colonies into dust and radiation. You cannot rebuild vaporized people. We have technology that could help. Medical advances, agricultural improvements. We could give you knowledge that would benefit all humanity." "We do not want your technology," Sarah said. "We do not want anything from child killers." "Then what do you want?" Vexthel asked. "Justice," Sarah said simply. She looked at Commander Park. "Begin the firing sequence." "Wait!" Vexthel screamed. "Our ships are defenseless." "Our weapons are offline. You would be murdering helpless beings." "Helpless?" Sarah said, "Like the families on New Geneva were helpless? Like the children on Kepler Station were helpless?" "That was different." "No, it was exactly the same. You had overwhelming power and you used it to kill innocent people. The only difference is that our people never did anything to deserve it." Sarah stood up from her command chair. "You want to know what humans are really like, Commander? We do not attack without warning. We do not kill civilians. We do not target children." "Then spare us," Vexthel pleaded. "But we also do not forgive genocide," Sarah continued, "and we do not let child killers escape justice." She nodded to Commander Park. "Fire!" The Defiant unleashed hell. Kinetic rounds fired from the railguns at 15% of light speed. Each projectile was a solid tungsten rod weighing 10 tons. When they hit the crystal ships, they hit with the force of nuclear weapons. The first Zephyrian ship, the Crystal Dawn, was struck by 3 kinetic rounds simultaneously. The beautiful crystal hull shattered like glass. The ship broke apart in a shower of glowing fragments. "Direct hit on target 1, Park reported. Target destroyed." The plasma cannons fired next. Beams of superheated gas, hotter than the core of a star, reached out across space. They struck the second alien ship and burned through its hull in seconds. The ship's atmosphere exploded outward as the interior was consumed by stellar fire. "Target 2 eliminated," Park said. The third ship tried to move. Its emergency thrusters fired, pushing it slowly away from the human vessel. But it was far too slow. A nuclear missile caught it and detonated. The explosion lit up space like a small sun. When the light faded, there was nothing left but expanding gas. The fourth ship lasted a few seconds longer. Its crew managed to send out a final message before the human weapons found them. "Please," the message said, "we have families. We have children." Sarah heard the message but did not hesitate. "Fire," she said. The ship was torn apart by railgun fire. Pieces of crystal hull spun away into space, glowing from the heat of impact. Only one ship remained. Commander Vexel-S flagship, the Crystal Dawn. Sarah could hear him speaking over the communication channel. "You are making a mistake," he said. "We are a peaceful species. When our people learn what you have done, they will want revenge. They will hunt down every human colony and destroy them all." "Let them try," Sarah said coldly. "They will find us ready." The final volley of weapons struck Vexel-S ship. Kinetic rounds, plasma beams, and nuclear missiles all hit at the same time. The ship's crystal hull cracked and shattered. Internal explosions tore through the vessel as its power systems overloaded. "No," Vexel-S' voice came over the communication channel one last time. "This is not justice. This is murder." "No," Sarah said as she watched the ship break apart. "This is what happens when you hurt our children." The explosion was brilliant and brief. When it faded, all 5 Zephyrian ships were gone. Nothing remained but debris and cooling gas. Commander Park checked his instruments. "All targets destroyed, Captain?" "No survivors detected." Sarah sat back down in her command chair. "Time to completion?" 4 minutes and 37 seconds, Captain." Sarah nodded. "Less than 5 minutes to destroy 5 ships and their crews, quick and efficient, just like the aliens had been when they murdered human colonies." "Good work, everyone," she said to her crew. "Justice has been served." She looked out at the debris field that had once been beautiful crystal ships. And that is what happens when you threaten humanity. Captain Sarah Chun stood on the bridge of the Defiant and watched the last pieces of alien debris drift away into space. The beautiful crystal ships were now nothing but glowing fragments scattered across several kilometers. Some pieces were still hot from the weapons that had destroyed them. "Scan the debris field," Sarah ordered. "I want to make sure there are no survivors." Commander Park worked at his station for several minutes. "No life signs detected, Captain? No escape pods? No emergency beacons? All 5 ships are completely destroyed," Sarah nodded. "Good. Record this in the ship's log. Today's date, 1542. Ship time, 5 Zephyrian vessels destroyed in response to genocide against human colonies. Total engagement time, 4 minutes and 37 seconds. She sat down in her command chair and began dictating her official report. "This is Captain Sarah Chun of the Earth Defense Force vessel Defiant. We responded to an alien distress signal and discovered 5 Zephyrian ships claiming to need assistance with engine repairs." The bridge was very quiet as she spoke. Her crew listened to every word. During first contact protocols, the alien commander freely admitted to the destruction of 3 human colonies, New Geneva, Kepler Station, and the Proxima Centauri mining settlements. Total human casualties, 2.3 million men, women, and children. Sarah paused and looked at the debris field again. Such a small amount of wreckage for ships that had caused so much death. The aliens described their actions as cleansing operations. designed to remove primitive and violent species from the galaxy. They showed no remorse for their crimes and expressed pride in their so-called civilizing mission. She thought about the children who had died on those colonies. Children who would never grow up, never fall in love, never have families of their own. In accordance with Earth Defense Force regulations regarding crimes against humanity, I authorized the immediate destruction of all hostile vessels. The threat to human colonies has been eliminated. Sarah finished her report and sent it to Earth Defense Command. It would take months for the message to reach Earth, but when it did, her superiors would understand what had happened here. "Captain," Ensign Williams said quietly, "should we collect any of the debris for analysis?" Sarah considered this. The alien technology might be valuable. Their crystal ships had been advanced in some ways, but she decided against it. "No," she said, "we do not need anything from them. Let space have their remains." She stood up and walked to the front of the bridge. Through the large windows, she could see stars in every direction. Somewhere out there were more human colonies. More families trying to build new lives on distant worlds. "Commander Park," she said, "set course for Patrol Route Alpha 7. We need to continue our mission." "Yes, Captain," Park said. Course laid in. But before they could leave, the communications officer spoke up. "Captain, I am receiving a transmission. It is not from the debris field. It is coming from deep space." Sarah turned around. "What kind of transmission?" "It appears to be from another Zephyrian ship," Williams said. "They are asking about the fate of Commander Vexthel's fleet." Sarah walked back to her command chair. "This was interesting. Put it through." A new alien voice came over the speakers. This one sounded older and more formal than Vexthel had. "This is Admiral Zarketh of the Zephyrian Defense Fleet. We have lost contact with Exploration Fleet 7. Please respond, Commander Vexthel." Sarah smiled. She activated the communication system. "This is Captain Sarah Chun of the Earth Defense Force. Commander Vexthel is no longer available to take your call." There was a long pause. Then the alien admiral spoke again. "Who are you? What has happened to our ships?" "Your ships have been destroyed," Sarah said calmly. "All crew members are dead." "There were no survivors." "Impossible," the admiral said. "Our ships are the most advanced in the galaxy." "What weapon could destroy them?" "Human weapons," Sarah said. "The same humans. Your people murdered on New Geneva, Kepler Station, and Proxima Centauri." Another pause. Sarah could imagine the alien admiral trying to understand what had happened. "You are the primitive species from those worlds?" the admiral asked. "But Commander Vexthel reported that you had no space travel capabilities." "We had colonies," Sarah said. "Those were our people you killed. Our families, our children." "That is impossible," the admiral insisted. "The species we cleansed was primitive. They had crude weapons and violent tendencies. They could not have built ships like yours." Sarah laughed. "You really do not understand, do you? Those colonies were settlements, farming communities and mining operations. Of course they did not have warships. They were civilians." "Civilians? Innocent people," Sarah explained. "Families with children. Scientists and farmers and teachers. People who never hurt anyone." The alien admiral was quiet for a long time. When he spoke again, his voice was different, less confident. We did not know they were connected to an advanced species." "Would it have mattered?" Sarah asked. "Would you have spared them if you had known they had relatives with big guns?" "We are a civilized people," the admiral said defensively. "We do not harm innocent beings without cause." "You murdered 2.3 million innocent beings," Sarah said coldly. "You vaporized children and called it bringing civilization. You committed genocide and felt proud of yourselves." "We were following our highest moral principles," the admiral protested. "We have brought peace to hundreds of worlds. We have guided countless species away from violence and toward enlightenment." "By killing them?" "By freeing them from the burden of primitive existence," the admiral said, but he sounded less sure now. Sarah shook her head. "You are all the same. You justify murder by calling it mercy." You destroy families and call it education. You commit genocide and call it peace. What do you want from us? The Admiral asked. Nothing, Sarah said. We want nothing from child killers. Then why did you destroy our ships? Because they needed to be destroyed, Sarah said simply. Because the galaxy is a safer place without them. Because dead genocidal aliens cannot murder any more children. The Admiral's voice became angry. You will pay for this attack. The Zephyrian Empire has 1,000 ships. We will hunt down every human colony and destroy them all. Sarah smiled again. This time it was not a nice smile at all. You're welcome to try, Admiral. But before you do, let me tell you something about humans. What? We do not just build colonies, Sarah said. We build fleets, big fleets. With big guns? The ship that destroyed your exploration fleet? This is just one of many. She looked around her bridge at her crew. They were all listening with pride. And here is something else you should know, Sarah continued. Humans remember. We remember every wrong done to us. We remember every child killed. We remember every family destroyed. And we never, ever forgive genocide. You are threatening the Zephyrian Empire? The Admiral asked. No, Sarah said. I am warning you. Stay away from human space. Stay away from human colonies. Do not test us again. Or what? Or you will learn what happened to your exploration fleet was just the beginning, Sarah said. You will learn that humans do not just defend themselves. They hunt down their enemies. They find them wherever they hide. And they make sure that child killers never hurt anyone ever again. The communication channel went silent. The alien admiral had nothing more to say. Sarah turned to her crew. Ensign Williams, send a message to Earth Defense Command. Tell them about this conversation. Tell them the Zephyrians know what happened here. Yes, Captain. Commander Park, take us out of here. Set course for the next patrol sector. Yes, Captain. The Defiant turned away from the debris field and began moving toward its next destination. Behind them, the remains of the alien ships continued to drift in space. A warning to any species that might think about harming human colonies. As they entered hyperspace, Sarah made one final log entry. Personal note from Captain Chun. Today we learned something important about humanity. We are not the strongest species in the galaxy. We are not the most advanced. But we are the species that remembers. We are the species that comes back. We are the species that makes sure justice is done. She looked out at the stars rushing past. And that makes all the difference. The Defiant disappeared into hyperspace, leaving behind only empty space and the cooling remains of 5 alien ships. The message was clear to anyone who might find the debris field. This is what happens when you hurt human children. This is what happens when you test humanity's resolve. The galaxy was learning that humans were not primitive or weak. They were something far more dangerous. They were a species that protected its own and never forgot its enemies. They were a species that brought justice to those who harmed the innocent, and they were just getting started.